But with the achievement came a backhanded compliment. Continental clubs came in for Kevin Keegan. He chose Hamburg in West Germany and scored for them against Liverpool in a pre-season friendly. But his former colleagues got their own back when Liverpool crushed Hamburg 6-0 in the European Super Cup. The European champions had prepared for Keegan's departure with typical foresight. To succeed the future European Footballer of the Year, they signed a future King of Anfield. Kenny Dalglish's 14-year reign began with Liverpool's first defence of the European Cup.
Toshak's flick, and in by Hansen! Toshak's head again for Dalglish. Toshak in, and the header by Case makes it 2-0. Highway, and is that a penalty? Yes, it is. Weber cannot believe it. Here now, would surely sew up this time. There it is. Maybe that this will be one that Phil Neal will steal in on. He went a little bit early, and it's played instead for Case! Liverpool forward again. It's been very much one-way traffic. Toshak's head, and Kennedy goes in for the fifth! Derner, and now Kreischer. Hefner going for the ball, and it was a good one, and didn't he take that well?
Dresde, maillot rouge, Liverpool. D'entrée, Dresde marque par Cotte. Zaxe de la tête, toujours pour Dresde, 2-0. Sur service de Dalglish, but de Highway, score final 2-1 pour Dresde, mais Liverpool est qualifié.
They brushed aside Dynamo Dresden and then faced Benfica.
Case. Good play, Callaghan. Oh, it's got in! Off the goalkeeper, but Callaghan will get the credit. Callaghan scored it. Bento there made a terrible mistake. Oh, mistake by Tony, and he's put Dalglish through for Liverpool. Beautifully taken. Dalglish scores his 21st goal of the season for Liverpool. Tony. Rui Lopez. Trying to find Nene again. Oh, Nene's in! Yes! What a bad mistake! McDermott to Case. Highway with McDermott making a run down the right, taking at least one, maybe two defenders with him. And that leaves the left. Dalglish. Hughes. Case. Kennedy. Dalglish. Highway. Nicely round. Still Highway. McDermott. It's got in. That settles it. McDermott has scored. And poor Bento finishes up in the net with the ball. And reflects on an unhappy night for him. Chip back for McDermott to volley it. Here's Neil. Oh, what a shot! Bento left on his knees by Phil Neal. And Benfica on their knees and out of the European Cup.
The semi-final gave Borussia Mönchengladbach the chance of revenge after the final in Rome.
Hannes is up just outside the 6-yard box, number 3. Nielsen, Del Hay, and put in by Hannes. Kennedy. Liverpool happy to keep possession, but here's Hughes. Dalglish. And put in by Johnson. And that really has set it up. Liverpool holding possession. Look at the delight on Johnson's face we just saw momentarily then. Nobody goes with Johnson. He just gets it off his brow for a goal which will probably take Liverpool to the final again. And Bonoff took a free kick like this against England from this sort of range. Clemens surely's got the wall right this time. Bonoff takes. Oh, it's in!
But despite that blow, Liverpool didn't need Johnson's away goal to get them through to their second consecutive European Cup final. They won the second leg at Anfield 3-0.
Souness for Dalglish. That's a good ball. Kennedy is in the middle and there are others arriving. Kennedy! Dermott sprinting across the box. Kennedy is in there. He's got the header. Dalglish the shot and it's going in! Highway's crossed towards Souness's head. Kennedy on his chest. And finding Case. And Case has got room for a left foot shot here.
Liverpool dominated a one-sided final and kept their title of European champions. But not for much longer. Their dream of a hat-trick was abruptly curtailed by the club who'd replaced them as English champions.
Bertels has got it! Bertels cuts through on his own. The pace and confidence to do it. Not a bad-looking cross. Woodcock. And a superb goal from Barrett.
Brian Clough's Nottingham Forest had won the first leg 2-0.
David Johnson doing the harrying there. It's come to Dalglish! Oh, what a save! And when they asked Chilton to produce it, he certainly did. Johnson got in, Dalglish hit it first time, and there's Chilton at his best. We're in time added on now by the French referee for stoppages, and there won't be too much. There'll hardly be any. That whistle signals the end of Liverpool's hold on the European Cup. And Nottingham Forest, with Brian Clough and Peter Taylor, for all their modest talk, masterminding a tactical victory. Phil Thompson goes down. It's the end of an era.
And the start of another. Clough's team went on to win the European Cup twice before Liverpool regained their foothold in the competition. In the meantime, Anfield celebrated 2 more First Division titles.
Trouve Robbie Reisenbrink. Un numéro du capitaine, une tête de vert terrain, c'est le but à la 16e minute. De dos, et heureusement il revient sur ce tir de caisse qui marque. Nielsen à nouveau. Gales. On trouve Van der Elst. Et tir du gauche magnifique. 44e minute de jeu. Debris. Anne et Reisenbrink, tout seul cette fois-ci.
However, Liverpool supporters didn't see too much of the European Super Cup second leg, which Liverpool, the holders, started 3-1 down to Cup Winners' Cup holders Anderlecht.
And really this is absolutely farcical. There are very, very few people of the thousands in this stadium could really see what's happening, and that must apply to many of the players as well. It's Dalglish putting it down, and who shot it? It was stopped. And number 3, Evelyn Hughes, knocked it in, and Liverpool go ahead, and they won't want it stopped now. Van der Elst through, and he scored. That makes it 1 each on the night, and this surely means that Anderlecht take the European Super Cup. Neil, Case, Thompson, Dalglish, Fairclough, and it's there!
Liverpool lost 4-3 on aggregate. Back in the cleaner air of the Champions Cup in 1979, Liverpool again drew a tough first-round hurdle. Although David Johnson's goal at Anfield got them off to a good start against the Soviet champions Dinamo Tbilisi, the Georgians were a team of quality. When they equalised in front of the Kop, it was an ominous sign. The home fans knew a class act when they saw one. Liverpool scraped a 2-1 win in this first leg thanks to a disputed free kick, which was fired in by a local signing with thunder in his boots, Jimmy Case. But Liverpool's trip to Georgia, their first ever to the Soviet Union, was one of the most difficult they'd undertaken. Tbilisi beat them 3-0, the Reds' worst defeat in Europe since the Ajax drubbing of 1966. Shivadze's penalty merely confirmed another first-round defeat for Liverpool. But the new decade, the 80s, brought a new resolve. Terry McDermott's flying header there in Finland launched a European Cup campaign that would again end in glory. Although their part-time opponents managed an equaliser here, Liverpool ran up double figures in the second leg at Anfield, where McDermott and Souness both scored hat-tricks.
Really influential start by Kenny Dalglish, who laid on the opening 3 goals. Graham Souness got number 1, his first for Liverpool in European competition. Souness also got the second, thanks to a rather comical deflection off goalkeeper Rantanen, an extraordinary performer in every way. Well, Terry McDermott swept in the third for Liverpool, and as you'll see, added the finishing touch for the fourth after great work by Dalglish, both players claiming the goal afterwards. Well, Armstrong scored for the Finns just after half-time, but then Souness was brought down for a penalty to Liverpool. Souness wanted to take it himself, although Terry McDermott had other ideas, which didn't altogether please Souness. Eventually, though, on the crowd's insistence, Souness was allowed the privilege of scoring his hat-trick. Sammy Lee got the 6th, and following Phil Neal's cross, Ray Kennedy got number 7 from close range. David Fairclough then scored 2, the first after Dalglish had distracted the Finns' defence, the second a towering header at the far post. Arguably, though, the 10th goal was the best of the lot, a superb volley by Terry McDermott, leaving Rantanen stranded yet again.
McDermott struck again against the champions of Scotland in the next round. Oh, nicely played by Johnson to Terry McDermott. And a little chip from McDermott, and what a lovely goal. And so typical of the player, Terry McDermott produces a special. And it was an incisive move by Liverpool. Kenny Dalglish began it with the ball inside. Johnson, a lovely first-time pass. And look at the delicate chip by Terry McDermott.
Dalglish to Cohen. That's the back header from Hansen, and that's an own goal, I think, by Miller. So what Liverpool couldn't do for themselves, Aberdeen have done for them. But the congratulations rightly going to Alan Hansen for a very crafty back header that completely deceived Willie Miller, the Aberdeen skipper, into turning the ball into his own net. Thompson. Dalglish is back heel, and that's got Neil in, and Neil will score. What a glorious goal that was, and once again it was the inventive mind of Kenny Dalglish that made the telling contribution. Thompson, what a lovely touch from Dalglish, and now it simply requires Neil to keep his balance in his head, and in goes the goal. Don't need any telling that there are all kinds of dangers here. The kick's being quickly taken to Cohen. And Cohen tries to chip the goalkeeper and hits the bar. Lee, Dalglish, that's 3-0. Well, a goal that Kenny Dalglish has earned, and a goal that was virtually scored twice. Lovely bit of work by Cohen that comes back off the bar, and some beavering away there by Lee, and there's an empty goal for Dalglish to head into. Nice little touch from Johnson, taking it back now from Cohen. Dermott, Souness, Dalglish. Hansen is up there, this is McDermott, and he's onside, and Hansen scores. When Liverpool are in that mood, it needs something very special to shut them out. And they were busy opening doors all over the place then. Everybody involved. The appearance of Hansen, the extra man in the penalty area, it was easy for him once it had been turned across by McDermott.
This was Liverpool at their most strategic. They put 4 goals past Aberdeen without reply in the second leg and were equally impressive in the quarter-final.
Hansen. Souness, real chance, and it's there.
Run having been made by Alan Hansen. Here's Highway. Ray Kennedy. Lee. Oh yes! Instant reaction. Long turn by Highway. 3 players to his right. He's picked out Souness, who picks out a beauty. Well, that's a great ball. This is Yonchev. And he's put it in the corner, and they looked at the linesman put his flag down and came away. And suddenly, the delight of the crowd silenced. Lee. Ray Kennedy, here's McDermott. Yes! And they're not happy with the goalkeeper. McDermott is happy enough. Zafirov. Owen. Souness. Neil. Highway. 3 to come onto the angled one. Souness! Oh, I say! What a way to complete a hat-trick. He never saw it. Nobody ahead of him down the touchline, but Lee coming in and getting in a shot which hits the post, and Johnson puts it in. 1-0 and 6-1 on aggregate, and just look at that inquest going in here. And down he goes. The referee has this time given the penalty, but I think that one was as debatable as some of the others that he's overruled. And Clement saves the penalty from Markov.
But in the semi-final, Bayern Munich forced a 0-0 draw at Anfield. And as the minutes ticked away in Munich, with no score there either, Messrs Paisley, Fagan, Moran and Evans on the Liverpool bench suddenly had something to celebrate.
Johnson, Kennedy is up, suddenly in space and onside and scores! Ray Kennedy has given Liverpool the lead. Suddenly, out of nothing, the skipper gets the goal. It changes the entire atmosphere. Johnson had pulled it across to him, and Bayern have been pressing so much, got caught out at the back, and Ray Kennedy, with the chance which he took with his right foot to put it wide of Walter Jungens. And they're already celebrating, and so many people who support Liverpool had booked their tickets to Paris before the first leg. Janssen, and here's Ruben again, and he's equalised!
But it wasn't enough for the Germans. Ray Kennedy's away goal had won the tie for Liverpool and sparked off more excited scenes. It meant a third appearance in the European Cup final in 5 seasons. This time, the opposition was the club who had established the very pedigree of the competition in its early years, Real Madrid.
It's Alan Kennedy, and he goes on, and he scores!
3 finals, 3 wins. Liverpool were now level with Ajax and Bayern Munich in the European Cup Hall of Fame. Only Real Madrid, their victims here in Paris, had won the top prize more often. The Liverpool captain now was Phil Thompson, a Scouser who'd supported the club from the Kop as a boy. He followed in the tradition of former skippers Ron Yates, Tommy Smith and Emlyn Hughes, leading by example from the back. Behind Thompson came goalkeeper Ray Clements, who had just played his last match for Liverpool. Clements won 5 European medals and was one of 5 players to have played in all 3 Champions Cup finals. For some of his colleagues, there would be more to come. For men like Alan Hansen and, of course, Phil Neal.
Me and Graham Souness got picked out for a urine sample. And unfortunately, I'll tell the people that it's very difficult to produce a urine sample, be it that small, after you've been sweating for a good hour and a half and getting a good sweat on. So the main party decided to leave Graham and I while we tried to produce this sample. And I think Graham and I took about 2.5 hours to produce a wee drip that you know, we could normally do in normal circumstances in no bother. But you can imagine the state we were in by which time we can't get a taxi from the ground to the hotel, so we end up, Graham and I, flagging a police vehicle down and going back to the hotel via a police gendarme. Gendarmes picked us up and dropped us off at the hotel. Luckily, about 3 hours late for the reception, but I think we'd had as much to drink as they had by the time we got there.
Now, in the summer of 1981, the flamboyant Bruce Grobbelaar replaced Ray Clements. Also new to Anfield, Mark Lawrenson from Brighton. But such changes were initially overshadowed by the death in September that year of Bill Shankly, leader of the modern Liverpool army and the general who led them into those early campaigns across foreign fields. Without his fervour and foresight, his fanatical devotion to the cause, there would have been no Liverpool in Europe, as the fans on the Kop would be the first to acknowledge. It was an appropriate tribute that when Liverpool paid their last respects to Shankly, they did so on a European night at Anfield, as they began their defence of the European Cup against the champions of Finland.
Liverpool began their goal rush with a header from Kenny Dalglish, Liverpool's 100th goal in the European Cup, and 12 minutes later, Dalglish setting up Terry McDermott. Into the first minute of the second half now, Phil Neal's cross and the header from Ray Kennedy. And the 4th goal came on the hour, a move that swept the length of the field and was finished off confidently by David Johnson. Johnson then gave way to Ian Rush, who responded with his first senior goal for the club. And Liverpool's other substitute, Mark and the final word rested with Terry McDermott. A superb swerving shot from 20 yards, 7-0 to Liverpool.
The second round saw Liverpool back in Holland, where 15 years earlier they'd suffered that 5-1 mauling by Ajax. Now the Dutch champions were AZ Alkmaar, shaken by an early Liverpool goal from David Johnson. In the second half, Liverpool in yellow struck again. The chunky midfield player Sammy Lee, Liverpool-born and capped by England, chipped a cheeky second goal, and Liverpool looked home and dry. But Alkmaar, inspired by Johnny Method and drawing on the imagination they showed in their UEFA Cup final against Ipswich the season before, then scored twice to draw level. And what's more, scored twice at Anfield in the second leg, which Liverpool scraped through with a late goal.
And here's Dalglish, gets round Trifle, and the penalty is given. But again, the blast is effective, as it was in the last home game here against Manchester United. Method keeping the pressure on. Peters. Here's Keast. And Grobbelaar can't keep it out. Souness getting it back though from Whelan. Good turn from Dalglish. He's past Reinders and Rush. Back from Method, and it's an own goal off Phil Thompson. Liverpool work the short corner. McDermott. And Hansen, it's in. A goal out of nothing with 5 minutes left. And can Liverpool hang on to it this time?
A month later, Liverpool appeared for the first time in the World Club Championship, losing 3-0 to the Brazilians Flamengo in Tokyo.
Oh, terrific skills from Nunes, and Nunes onto the return ball there, and might be in behind the Liverpool defence. Nunes! Nunes for Flamengo! The very thing Liverpool didn't want was to concede free kicks there. McDermott has just been the villain of the piece. Here comes Zico. Driven! Grobbelaar can't hold it. Double save and turned in. Andrade, Zico, and Nunes is onside. Nunes, still Nunes, goal!
Donc c'est par Liverpool que commence cette série. Les Anglais en rouge affrontaient les Bulgares de Sofia et ils ont inscrit un but grâce à Whelan.
Liverpool were in yellow shirts again for the second leg of their quarter-final against the Bulgarian champions, who they'd outclassed at this stage the year before. This time, leading only 1-0 from the first leg, they conceded that bad goal in the first half, and worse was to follow. With Liverpool still seething over an Ian Rush effort being disallowed, CSKA snatched the aggregate winner. Remember Dundalk? Liverpool once put 14 goals past them. Now, 13 years later, it was a modest 5. The second round saw an embarrassing 1-0 defeat in Helsinki, forgotten after a 5-0 victory at Anfield. But East European opposition again blocked the way in the quarter-finals. Widzewskie won 2-0 at home and squeezed through when Liverpool could only win 3-2 in the return.
Dośrodkowanie Krzysztofa Sublita. Błąd Grobbelara i Tłokiński zdobywa pierwszego gola dla Widzewa. Akcja Andrzeja Grębosza, dośrodkowanie i główka Wiesława Wragi.
And it's Neil with Kennedy timing the run from the back, and Felicek used the hand, and Liverpool have a penalty. So Phil Neal steps into a pressurised situation again with a European penalty and scores.
Souness in the end. What a costly mistake this could be with Smolarek, who flings himself down. A penalty is given to Widzew. There's been some delay. But here's Trokinski. 1-1. Philippe Jack is onside. Smolarek in the middle. It could all be over for Liverpool here through Smolarek. Now Fairclough. And Rush makes it 2-2 here. Thompson. Hodgson. Offside. Or is it? The linesman had his flag up. Hodgson retrieved the ball. And in injury time, Liverpool get a third.
It was the last season at the helm for Bob Paisley, who went out holding the League Championship trophy and ensured that Liverpool stayed in the European Cup. His 20 trophies as manager included 3 European Cups, a UEFA title, a European Super Cup and 6 League Championships. True to form, Liverpool kept the job in the boot room. Paisley's successor was Joe Fagan, already in his 60s, but fresh enough to win 3 competitions in his first season. Fagan's opening tie was in Denmark, fittingly won by a goal from Kenny Dalglish, who was fast approaching Dennis Law's record of European Cup goals by a British player.
And Lee or Souness could hit it. Lee does so. Dalglish. This is Kennedy in space. Rush, and then Robinson. And Robinson finally gets off the mark for the first time in a senior match for Liverpool. Boarding guard. Good tackle, and Rush is away here. He's onside too. Can he keep his cool? Dalglish can. And that's the goal which equals the record for a British player in the Champions Cup. Peterson. Souness wins it fairly. Dalglish, can this be the record breaker? It is. Kenny Dalglish finally surpasses the man who was his childhood hero, Dennis Law. Sammy Lee unmarked out on the right. As Lawrenson goes forward. He finds Nicol. Here's Robinson in the centre, cut out by the Danes, and Robinson scores an unbelievable goal. Well, it may go down as an own goal in the 65th minute. Dalglish. Robinson again. Rush back for Robinson. Could be a good goal, this. Number 5 for Liverpool.
But Robinson, Dalglish and company couldn't repeat the goal feast against the Spanish champions.
Chance for Rush. Goalkeeper did well to recover the error. Dalglish cleared away by Goicoechea with Littorantu on the line as well. Robinson.
A goal by Ian Rush won the return in Spain.
Kennedy.
And Rush. Left unmarked. And Liverpool's patient approach has been rewarded with a goal.
And the same man put paid to Benfica in the quarter-final.
Well, can Liverpool get somebody through from the back, I wonder, because those further forward are finding it hard going. What can Rush do? Johnston. Whelan. And here is a man from the back, Kennedy. And Rush. The goal Anfield wanted. Aaron Kennedy came up from left back and put in the best cross of the night from the Liverpool angle, and watch Ian Rush. Bento started to go, lost his way. Rush found the back of the net.
Propri clamorosi del portiere Bento, un giocatore molto esperto ma evidentemente non in buona serata. Ecco il primo gol, un tiro di testa di Whelan e che ha dimostrato di trovarsi molto a suo agio anche in campo esterno. Ancora un attacco, un pallone rubato da Dalglish, un attacco combinato con Ian Rush ed è la manovra che porta al secondo gol. Johnston controlla, gran tiro secco, forse le colpe qui di Bento non sono eccessive. Torniamo al gioco. Dopo il 2-0 del primo tempo riesce a accorciare le distanze alla mezz'ora con questa rete di testa di astuzia di Nenè, ma qui le colpe sono forse anche un po' del portiere Grobelar della squadra del Liverpool, che tra l'altro è stata scavalcata proprio in questa settimana in campionato dal Manchester United. Ecco il gol di Rush, ancora una distrazione, uno sbandamento, l'esasperato uso della tattica del fuorigioco ha messo in difficoltà la difesa portoghese, scavalcata da un pallonetto che Rush di testa ha trasformato nella terza rete del Liverpool. Il quarto gol è ancora un errore sia prima di Petra, che controlla male Whelan, e poi, come abbiamo visto, di Bento battuto in controtempo. 4-1.
25 minutes gone. Kennedy with the cross. And a goal from Lee! Sammy Lee has made the breakthrough. Only his third goal for Liverpool this season, but he's absolutely elated. It's Kennedy's cross in, and Lee, little Sammy Lee, who heads it beyond the goalkeeper.
Rush was now hot property across Europe. He had yet to play in a European final and seemed determined to get Liverpool there again, almost single-handed. In the semi-final in Bucharest, he put them ahead with a delightful goal, reminiscent of Dalglish's winner against Bruges at Wembley 6 years earlier. That meant the Romanian champions were now 2 behind on aggregate, but unhappy Liverpool memories of Tbilisi, Sofia and Luch were stirred when Orats scored from that free kick. His joy, though, was mercifully short-lived. Liverpool in the 80s knew a thing or two about hitting opponents on the break, and that's exactly what they did here. With Dinamo chasing the game, Liverpool countered with a sweeping move, illustrating the range of their passing, surely over the years their strongest card. The executioner, inevitably, was Rush, and Liverpool were in the final of the European Cup for the 4th time. Appropriately, the scene again was Rome, where Liverpool had won in 1977. Phil Neal put them in front, and the penalty shootout which eventually followed saw Bruce Grobbelaar's antics unnerving 2 Italians. This was Liverpool's first penalty competition at the end of a European tie, and the final responsibility fell on the shoulders of the man who'd scored the winning goal 3 years earlier in Paris, Alan Kennedy. All this in Roma's own stadium. On his last kick hinged Liverpool's chances of winning Europe's Premier Trophy for the 4th time, something only one other club had ever done. The ecstasy which followed was a throwback to 7 years earlier, especially for the survivor of 1977, Phil Neal.
To go back and do it the way we did, be it on penalties, was magnificent. I think it gave me as much of a thrill, and I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of all the lads who were there that night, as much of a thrill as the first time. Those that were lucky there to be both times, and I was one of the few that actually scored in both encounters.
Graham Souness, the Liverpool captain, held the trophy aloft and then moved to Italy to play for Sampdoria. To replenish the midfield, Liverpool signed John Walk, whose 14 goals had done so much to win the UEFA Cup for Ipswich Town in 1981. He marked his European debut with a goal in Poland, and the return at Anfield was so conclusive on both his and Liverpool's part that the home fans had every reason to think about a 5th European Cup. The Poles from Poznan were simply outclassed.
But they've got it now, and John Walk it is again. Getting free on the right side of the area. Robinson on the near post with a back flick. John Walk! So I suppose that's some sort of hat-trick, and they have come consecutively. 1 in the first leg, 2 in the second. Another ground for Kofnet to make up, and he won't do so. Neil attacking him and beating him comfortably. Oh, and it's gone all the way. And Paul Walsh has his first goal in European competition. Dalglish. Walsh in such freedom. Can they pick out a man this time? John Walk, yes! He picked out the right man. And John Walk has the hat-trick.
In this 1984-85 season, Walk even outscored Ian Rush. The Welshman had injury worries and a move abroad preying on his mind. But he wasn't going to be outdone by Walk's European hat-trick. Look what happened in the second round.
and that was Whelan. And Alvaro's clearance, and Lawrenson. And it didn't run, walk, rush! He's back with a goal. Diamantino is hovering, Gillespie will have to be sure. Diamantino, and Vando's coming in from the far side, and it's Diamantino, and a goal for Benfica. Dalglish. Lee to Neil. And Dalglish. Johnston, and Bento coming a long way to punch. Knocked back in by Neil. Whelan. Whelan shot diverted into the back of the net. He's there again. Ian Rush. Look at the puddles over there. It's almost impossible to get the ball to run. But Lee made something of it to Johnston. Another good cross from him. Rush is up there. Ronnie Whelan missed it. Rush! Yes! The hat-trick! But Benfica are appealing. Bento's come tearing out of goal to protest at the referee. The crowd are on the pitch as well, unfortunately. A few of them. And Ian Rush has scored a hat-trick.
It was a good thing he did, because in Lisbon's Stadium of Light, Grobbelaar conceded a penalty in the first half of the second leg. Benfica scored through Michael Manica to make the aggregate 3-2, but that's how it stayed, and Liverpool were in the semi-final. This was a busy time for the club. They lost in Tokyo to Independiente in the World Club Championship and in the European Super Cup to Juventus.
Burashaga, good tackle. And not offside as Pekodani breaks away. Pekodani with a chance. It's a goal! Independiente have broken away and scored in 6.5 minutes with their first attack. Grobbelaar beaten. Liverpool claim offside, but the Argentine celebrates.
Juventus back in possession here with Bonini to Platini. Again, striking the ball through so cleanly. Off is Boniek. Danger threatening here. Magnificent goal by Boniek. The Liverpool defence again extended here. Riashi's turn. There's Boniek. That's two.
But in the European Cup quarter-final, Tony Polster gave Austria Vienna the lead in the first leg against Liverpool, and it stayed like that until 4 minutes from the end. Then Liverpool capitalised on a free kick. Scotsman Steve Nicol, another shrewd Liverpool signing, scored his first European goal here. Some consolation for missing the first penalty in the Rome shootout a year earlier. His goal brought the Austrians to Anfield all square.
Here's Hansen. And again, Kennedy seeing his chance to get forward. Good ball. And Walsh! Beautifully taken and beautifully made. A fine goal for Liverpool. Hansen. Both these Liverpool centre-backs are so smooth in possession. Trying to get Whelan in. Chance. Pull back. Oh, Nicol! 2-0 to Liverpool and an own goal by Obermeyer. He could do nothing about it. Taken short to Kennedy. There's Wart looking for Rush. Ducks Backer again. And there's Walsh. Oh! Sweet as you like on the volley from Paul Walsh. Ducks Backer knows it's his fault, really. Prohaska. Oh, it's in.
It was much the same story in the semi-final against Panathinaikos.
Oh, pushed under the post. Walk! The breakthrough. Donald begged and available. Whelan pulls wide to the left. This was a bit square, didn't give him anything to run onto, but here's Rush, and that's a goal! The Rush! 2 goals in a minute. Both for Ian Rush. Dalglish coming at the back. Oh, that is a magnificent goal for Jim Beglin.
Now Dalglish in a very positive run here. And players arriving quickly in support too. This is John Walk. Now then, Finical offside, surely. Well, I felt sure I heard the whistle there, but the referee waving play on. Neil. Now Lawrenson. The exchange, the combination working, and Lawrenson has scored! A goal for Liverpool. On the hour, Mark Lawrenson, the scorer. The Greeks felt they got an offside decision in their favour. The linesman's flag stayed down. And Mark Lawrenson, with that neat combination there with Whelan, showing his determination, only his 2nd goal in Europe.
May the 29th, 1985 should have been an occasion of celebration. Liverpool's 5th European Cup final in 9 seasons. Instead, it was a night of shame. A powder keg atmosphere was heightened by the decision to allow Liverpool and Juventus supporters to stand at the same end of the crumbling Heysel Stadium. Before the kick-off, there was an ugly stampede across that terrace. A wall collapsed under the force of fleeing Italian fans. 39 of them died, and so too that night did the image of European football, and Liverpool's hitherto unblemished part in it.
The actual night, well, it was... I mean, we obviously knew something was wrong very quickly. And Joe just kept us going to say, look, OK, something's going on out there. And yeah, Craig and all the information was coming back. The tragedy that was occurring not far away was coming back into the dressing room. All we could do was sit, and people were crying and whatever. But we knew in the end we had to go out there and give them a product. And I just remember it was like, I don't know, going into a vacuum. There were still people out there, but you just went out and think, oh, can we not play, 10 minutes each way or whatever? Because we knew whatever, there was no way we could actually lift a trophy that night, irrespective. And I think, we were just pleased to get 90 minutes out the way and get off and get home and obviously over the tragedy.
It was to have been Joe Fagan's last match anyway, but his tears reflected the horror that was felt across Merseyside and throughout the world. English clubs were banned indefinitely from Europe, and the memory of Heysel would never be allowed to fade. Memorials at Anfield and in Turin told of a sad and savage time for football. For Kenny Dalglish, who took over as manager the morning after Heysel, there would be no European challenge. The man who'd played in 4 European Cup finals, losing only the one that was played in the aftermath of the disaster, was left to concentrate on home affairs.
Whelan. And Dalglish is in here. Yes!
Having steered Liverpool to the Championship, Dalglish made history in his first season. An FA Cup final victory over Everton brought Liverpool their first League and Cup double. But for the likes of Ian Rush, there was no European incentive with Liverpool, and a year later he found one elsewhere, in Turin with Juventus, who maintained close links with Liverpool in the wake of Heysel. The new stars of Anfield were men like John Barnes, who came from Watford in the summer of 1987, at the same time as Peter Beardsley arrived from Newcastle. Liverpool won the First Division Championship in a canter, although a penalty miss by a third new signing, John Aldridge, cost them the cup final and another double. Ian Rush returned that summer after only 1 year away, but the pain of European exclusion paled into insignificance when a tragedy of even greater magnitude than Heysel hit the club in 1989. 95 Liverpool supporters lost their lives at Hillsborough, and the FA Cup final between Liverpool and Everton was played very much in their memory.
Whelan. McMahon. Barnes.
Rush! Goal! 3-2 Liverpool. Ian Rush gets his second. Dalglish won his third championship as manager in 1990, but sensationally resigned 2 months before Liverpool's European ban was lifted. Graham Souness returned to Anfield from Glasgow too late to rescue Liverpool's championship hopes, but the signing of Dean Saunders for a record £2.9 million confirmed Liverpool's intention to get back to European business in the UEFA Cup without ever forgetting the past, a sentiment expressed by their new chairman, David Moores.
You can never forget Heysel, and I wouldn't want anybody to forget Heysel. But, you know, it's a new era. We hope to start again with the same successes we had before Heysel.
For the new Liverpool, the rules of the European game had changed. Only 4 non-English faces were now allowed. So it was a younger and less practiced Liverpool squad that embarked on the club's new European adventure, but all keenly aware of Liverpool's famous past.